And joining me now is former Massachusetts Governor William Weld. Governor, thanks so much for joining us.
Jake, thanks for having me.
So let me start with a variation of the famous Roger Mudd question. Why do you want to be vice president?
I have known Gary Johnson of New Mexico for a long time. I love the guy. We served together as governors. I'm very excited about the idea of running on a ticket with him. I've been a libertarian for a long time. My speech to the Republican convention in Houston in 1992 was, I want the government out of your pocketbook and out of your bedroom. And, you know, Gary and I represent a mix of policy positions that's not represented by either major party, and we would like to get into the national dialogue.
As you know, there are a lot of Americans that don't like either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, but there really is a vocal minority of Republicans led by people like Senator Ben Sasse, Bill Kristol of the Weekly Standard, and others looking for a third-party candidate. Have you pitched to them, the so-called never Trump individuals, that you and Gary Johnson can be a place for them to land?
No, I wouldn't pitch other pols until we get a critical mass, so it's obvious we have something to sell. I think our purpose is to put in front of the country the fact that you can have an administration that's fiscally conservative and socially inclusive, and see what the country thinks about that. I think that may be 40+% of the country.
Have you talked to Mitt Romney or the Koch brothers or any of the people that might help you get your message out?
No, really not yet. First of all, we have to get nominated next weekend in Orlando at the Libertarian Party convention. Second, I want to make sure we got the building blocks of a national campaign all set up before we go around asking others for help. I think a little bit of fundraising will probably be the first order of business, just to make sure we can staff this out. But I wouldn't ask another politician to endorse our ticket until I thought I had a winning proposition for them.
Even if you didn't win, a third-party candidate can have a huge impact on the outcome of a presidential race. Some people, for instance, believe that Ralph Nader played a role in helping hurt Al Gore and elect George W. Bush. As a former Republican governor, is that a concern? Would you be comfortable with the prospect of possibly being blamed for tipping the election to the Democrats?
No, it's not a concern at all. I think we have our positions. We're going to press them. I'd like to ideally nudge the Democrats toward the economic center, get them away from excessive spending. I'd like to nudge the Republicans to get away from their anti-abortion stance, their queasiness with gays and lesbians being able to live openly and married and peaceably. The unbelievable proposals that have been made in the immigration area to round up and deport 11 million people. This is really not prime time. And we don't mind saying so.
Let's talk about immigration. You've obviously differed sharply with Donald Trump in particular on this issue of mass deportation. His plan to deport the estimated 11 or 12 million undocumented immigrants currently in the U.S. Now, you told the New York Times about that plan, quote, "I can hear the glass crunching on Kristallnacht in the ghettos of Warsaw and Vienna when I hear that, honest." Now, obviously, for those who are watching who don't know, Kristallnacht, or Crystal Night in English, that's from the Holocaust. It refers to the shards of broken glass that littered the streets after Jewish-owned stores and businesses and synagogues had their windows smashed by angry anti-Semitic mobs. Is that a little strong, you think, to talk about the Holocaust?
No, I don't think so. I served 5 years on the U.S. Holocaust Commission by appointment of President George W. Bush. And by the way, Israel never had a stronger friend in the White House. And and that was my request. And I'm absolutely certain that, as we said in those years, if we don't remember, we absolutely will forget. And you got to forget a lot of things to think it's a good idea to round up and deport 11 million people living peaceably, most of them working in America in the middle of the night? No, not the United States. China maybe, not the United States.
Let's talk about guns. Back in 1993, you proposed some of the strictest gun control laws in the country, including a statewide ban on some forms of semi-automatic rifles, a waiting period to buy handguns, a prohibition against gun ownership for anyone under 21. Do your positions on strict gun control fit in with a Libertarian Party platform that opposes, quote, all laws at any level of government restricting, registering, or monitoring firearms?
Well, I'm a lifelong hunter and gun owner, and I don't think those proposals were out of the mainstream at all. I distinguish between hunting guns and guns that really don't seem to have any hunting purpose or potential purpose. So that was the distinction I was drawing there. But that's an area where I think Gary and I can find common ground. I'm not worried about that issue.
Governor William Weld, thank you so much. Good luck to you and Governor Johnson. We look forward to seeing you out there on the campaign trail.
Thanks so much, Jake.